Days of Future Past is going to be the new season for March in Marvel Snap, and I cannot wait. It looks super exciting. We got 4 cards to cover and 3 new locations that are going to be coming in the next coming weeks, and I can't wait to talk about them. It's really exciting stuff here, and we're kicking it off with Nimrod. But before we get into Nimrod here, I do want to give a shout out to the Marvel Snap YouTube, official YouTube that is. Go check them out. They had an awesome reveal trailer for this season and revealing these cards. It was a lot of fun. It was one of their best yet. Okay, but we got Nimrod, season pass card, the most important card, because I think the majority of the player base, they'll buy this season pass if the card is good enough, and they won't really purchase anything else because everything's so expensive. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll jump in on the season pass if I like the card, and fair play. MODOK wasn't for everyone. Discard, not for everyone. That's cool. Well, this is destroy, but also combo and a few shenanigans, which looks pretty fun. It's all about copying Nimrod and having fun with it, and it's also 5 power, maybe works with Cerebro 5. Stay tuned, going to talk about that. But this is a 5 cost 5 power card. When this is destroyed, add a copy to each other location. Now, in the trailer, they really highlighted the Galactus interaction. So essentially, you play Galactus on turn 6, it destroys Nimrod, maybe on the far left, you play it on the far right, and then Nimrod gets destroyed, creates copies, and then creates copies, and then all of a sudden your Galactus location has 3 Nimrods. That's a total of 17 power, and you could actually buff that even further. Let's say you played Forge and then Nimrod, right? That's going to be 2 7 powers. They're going to be copies. It's not just back to default stats. It's going to carry that stat buff. So that's another way to get a little bit of extra buff to your Nimrods. But also like Nova Explosion or whoever else. Like there's ways to get even more powers. But let's talk about the vanilla stat line. And just look at Galactus chilling on turn 6 with his 3 Nimrods. He's 17 power location. That's pretty good. It's not like that telegraphed, I played Galactus and then here comes my null, and people probably retreat. No, turn 6 Galactus is kind of sneaky and going to catch a lot of people off guard. And this is one of the best ways to materialize that. So I think that's pretty cool if that ends up being a thing, except we do live in a Kang timeline now, and we have to be aware of that. But another combination that could throw people off is Arnim Zola. So I played my Nimrod on 5. It's all chilling there by itself. I play Arnim Zola. He's going to create 2 copies, and then Nimrod's going to create 2 copies, creating 10 power at the other 2 locations. That's a 20 power swing. The only thing about that is it costs 11 energy because you use your turn 5 and your turn 6 for 10 power at each other location. So I don't know if that ends up being really worth it. I feel like it needs a little bit more to actually be viable, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to think about, especially when we talk even more about the buff cards, right? Because that's the thing, man. Okoye, Nakia, all those cards that are going to give Nimrod buffs, and then we destroy them, and then copies go everywhere. It's really good. And then we got Venom with the typical destroy package, which is what I have above here. Honestly, this isn't even that creative. I think there's a lot of other cool solutions, but I just wanted to show a basic one. Right? Just a basic destroy package that Nimrod just gets thrown in there and is just good value. Now, there is a reason why I only have 3 stars for Nimrod, and that is because I think it's going to be a little bit too easy, a little bit too telegraphed to counter. Now, it's not like Shang-Chi can counter this or anything like that, but Armor can, and Professor X can, and unfortunately, you're going to most likely, unless you cheat this card out sooner, you're most likely playing Nimrod on turn 5. Ideally, we can cheat it out, but we might not be able to. So that means your opponent's going to say that's the location they want to destroy. So I'm going to armor there. And just like MODOK, everybody was running discard at least for the first week or so. So everyone started countering it with their Cosmos and Leech and whatever else. So I feel like that's going to happen again with Nimrod. There's just going to be armors everywhere. Armors that are waiting until turn 6. And here's the other problem. Bucky Barnes is kind of similar. You play Bucky Barnes, and then you hope to Carnage it after, right? Because that's just kind of like a 2-3 or Deathlock or whatever else. So Nimrod, you play Nimrod, you hope to Arnim Zola it. Well, that's not as good because at least with the Bucky Barnes Deathlock situation, I'm only risking 1 to 2 cubes at this point. With Nimrod, I'm rolling into that turn 6, that 4-8 cuber. I gotta watch out. So for that reason, I feel like you're gonna get absolutely denied a couple of times with Nimrod. It's gonna feel really bad. But then there's a lot of other situations where this is just gonna be insane. Like even like using this at Altar of Death or anything like that. Oh my gosh, copies everywhere, Nimrods everywhere, just destroying them as much as possible, and they're just popping up everywhere. It's going to be a lot of fun. I would consider myself a bit of a destroy main. I mean, it's the archetype I've played the most, so I am super excited for this card. But you know, like it might not be for everyone, and I think this one is passable. It's not going to be like a top meta card or a must-have. It's only really if you like the destroy archetype and you want to play around with that, then it's worth getting. All right, and then we have Kitty Pryde, who I'm giving 4 stars. There's a lot of controversy on her effect, so let's talk about it. It's a 1/0. You can return this to your hand to gain +2 power. Here's the controversy. Can I... Let's say on turn 1, okay? I play Kitty Pryde on turn 1. Huzzah, I drew her on turn 1. And then on turn 2, I return her to my hand. On that turn 2, after I've returned her to the hand, can I then play her again in the very same turn? Or I have to wait until turn 3. So the sequence can kind of look like this. Let's say with option 1, let's go with, okay? So turn 1, I play her. Turn 2, return to my hand, gets +2 power. Turn 3, I play her. Turn 4, I return her to my hand. Turn 5, I play her. Turn 6, I could return her to my hand, but I probably want to leave her in the hand anyways. At that point, I have now spent 3 energy playing Kitty Pryde, and I am at 4 power. Unless I can play her again on turn 7 or something like that. Let's just go with the 3-4 stat line. That's option 1, okay? Option 2 is on turn 1, I play her. Turn 2, I return her to the hand, and then I play her in the same turn. Then I do that every other turn. What I end up with is a 6 cost. I've spent 6 energy at this point, 1 energy every single turn, and 10 power. Both ratios are not good. You almost never get value really out of Kitty Pryde for just playing her than pulling her back. The value in this card, the reason this is a 4-star card, is the combinations with everything else. There's a lot of fun ones here. So you could talk about Angela, first of all. Angela, Bishop, anything like that that gets value out of playing multiple cards throughout the game. Holy smokes, you play this at the Angela location, you keep pulling it back. Like, that's crazy. If it's option 2 where I can play it every turn, holy smokes, Angela's going to be like 12 power in no time. Super fun combination. Then Collector, he's going to get +1 power for every time you pull that Kitty Pryde back. So that's just a nice way to just boost up your Collector. And then Beast can discount Kitty Pryde to 0. And I'm pretty sure we will do a science snap vid on this, trust. But I'm pretty sure she will retain that discount for the remainder of the game. So it's just easy throwing it up, throwing it back down, because then it's just cheap. It's just free +2 power for as many times as you can play her. Now, I don't know. Is it going to be option 1, option 2? I asked my Twitter. It's split. We don't know. We will only know when we find out and the developers talk about it. You know, they got to give us the deets on this effect because it plays big implications on whether you should pick up the card or not, because these are not cheap, guys. These are 6,000 tokens. A lot of you are probably saying, I'm not getting any of these until summer. And fair play. They got to fix the economy. I keep preaching it, but hey, we're here, and they're all going to be Series 5, and they're all going to cost 6,000 tokens. By the way, the date at the top here, totally made up. It's based on just every card's going to release on a Tuesday. These are the Tuesdays of March, and I'm basing it on the video in the order that they revealed the cards. I could be totally wrong, but the dates will be right for some of these cards. I don't know. We'll see and find out. The deck I have here for Kitty Pryde is just a random example based on the meta right now. Thanos deck is doing really well, and I think Kitty Pryde actually does really well here too, because if she comes out from the Lockjaw cycle, you can pull her back to the hand, have an open slot for Lockjaw, and then play her at the Lockjaw cycle so she goes back into the deck. She's also a 1 cost, gets the bust from Khazar, Blue Marvel, all that good stuff. So I feel like it's a natural fit. Beast also works well with Lockjaw and Thanos that is, with the stones and whatnot. So I feel like that's just a really good combination, but you could also just play this at the bounce deck. I think that's really its home, which seems really fun. They could use the love in the bounce department. Worth mentioning, this also gets hard countered by like Killmonger, even Elektra, right? Or getting locked down at a location with like Professor X or anything like that. So we gotta be mindful of those scenarios. But overall, it looks like a really fun card. I want to pick it up, but I need to know more. First, let's get to the next one. Master Mold, a 2-cost, 2-power. On reveal, add 2 Sentinels to your opponent's hand. Okay, I'm only giving this one 2 stars. Not because it has 2 power, 2 cost, although that is working really nicely here, but it is because I don't think this one's going to quite work out. The deck I see it running in is a deck that doesn't have a lot of strong cards at the moment, and I don't think Master Mold is that all-being solution to help the deck out. It's going to be cool, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I do think this is really disruptive, but when I do these reviews and these star ratings, I can't help but think about the 6k token threshold, and like not a lot of people can make that, and I don't think this card is going to end up being worth it, but it will be fun. And if you want to pick it up, then by all means pick this one up. But let's talk about it, okay? So Sentinels are 2 3s, and every time you play a Sentinel, you get one back to your hand. So if you give your opponent 2 Sentinels, you're essentially bricking their hand, making it so that they really only have 5 cards at a time of their deck. Because there's 2 Sentinels, well, they're not going anywhere unless you black bolt them or, you know, somehow they get discarded or something along those lines. But that won't happen a lot, right? So let's look at some combos. So you got Ronan the Accuser, right? He gets +2 power for every card in your opponent's hand, and if they can't get rid of 2, well, you're at least, you know, like 1 step in, like you're doing decent already, okay? And then Maximus, well, if your opponent already has 2 Sentinels that they can't get rid of, and they have a bunch of other cards probably that they're just trying to play, or there's 6 cost, or what, they're slow rolling it, whatever. Well, Maximus either won't even let them draw anything because they have too many cards in hand already, or you don't really care if they have another 2 cards. Maybe you want them to have a lot of cards in their hand because of Ronan. So I feel like Maximus gets a little bit of a boost. Iceman is always nice to ice their hand after they have those Sentinels. If you hit the Sentinel, that feels bad too. You can also combo this because it's a non-reveal with things like Absorbing Man or Wong, you know? It'd be hilarious. Then they have all kinds of Sentinels and they don't know what to do with them. But the reason I give this 2 stars is because I don't think it's all that bad to have 2 Sentinels chilling in your hand. There's going to be a lot of decks where this is going to hurt. Don't get me wrong. But maybe they're playing Devil Dino, you know, they're running that deck anyways, and they want the cards in their hands. So they're like, okay, thanks. And to top it all off, I used to run Sentinel a lot, and it's kind of making a little bit of a comeback because it's a nice fill. Maybe on turn 4, I only have a 2-drop to play, but at least I got this Sentinel, and I can play that and still have the card in my hand, and I can maybe use that on turn 5 if I only have a 3-drop to play. And then all of a sudden, I'm playing a decent amount of power here. I mean, your opponent plays 1 Sentinel, they get more power than your Master Mold. So you got to watch out with this one. The deck I have here is kind of like the give stuff deck, so it's just total disrupting, just ruining your opponent's day. You know, giving them the hood with Viper, Scorpioning their hand, those Sentinels, ouch. Black Widow, so they can't even draw anything. They have to play the Sentinels in the Widow's Bite, that hurts. And then you Hazmat it all after they played a whole bunch of it. I think that's pretty funny. It'd be a really cool deck to play, but I just don't think the power level is quite there to keep up with the Shuri Zeros and the Thanos Lockjaw decks, but it looks a lot of fun. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Let's go. This one looks so good. Honestly, I was thinking about giving it 5 stars. Ben Brode even himself tweeted out that this is his favorite card, or at least one of his favorite cards in Snap, which was pretty cool to hear because he gets to play test with all the new cards. If this one stands out, he likes running this in a lot of decks, then it must be pretty good, right? Well, it looks pretty good. And actually, it was buffed. It used to be a 3-2, and now they decided to make it a 3-4 after the data mines. So I don't know what that was all about, but hey, I'm here for it. This is Kingpin stat line now. So after any card is played here, destroy this card and that card. There's a lot of implications here that are super fun. But essentially, you could use this in your own destroy deck. Maybe the next card that's played, you want to destroy it. I mean, you got to make sure you have priority to do so, but you could play Negasonic Teenage Warhead on 4 and then Nimrod on 5. Easy Nimrod destroy, and then you could destroy it elsewhere somehow else with, like, I don't know, Arnim Zola or something. And then bam, you got a whole bunch of Nimrods everywhere. Pretty easy. So kind of like tease up the destroy for you. It also really discourages your opponent from playing there because there's a good shot they don't want their stuff destroyed. Maybe they do. Maybe they're running Deadpool or something like that, and that's going to kind of suck because they eat up your destroy from your Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which you spent 3 energy on, and then just say, hey, thanks for doubling my Deadpool's power. That will hurt, and it'll probably come up every now and then. People play destroy decks, but hey, we got to go into the flames sometimes. We got to give it a shot because we want to buff up our null. It's an easy null layup, right? You play Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Again, you could play that Nimrod, or maybe you play like Typhoid Mary or whatever else, the Atuma or whatever. It doesn't even matter. You get like 10 power. Bam, that's 14 power straight to your null. Null has a little bit of a hard time accumulating power without like crazy shenanigans like the Galactus or whatever else in my experience. This card seems like a very easy and guaranteed way to get that bonus power. Now, let's talk about armor, because I talked about that earlier with Nimrod, and I said that's why Nimrod might not be so good, and armor really hurts this card, right? Armor would prevent the destroy from happening, same with Professor X. But the benefit here that I see is it's a 3/4. Like, you're not going to be that hurt about it. I mean, Deathlock's a 3/5, and usually you're pretty okay with throwing out a Deathlock in an empty location anyways. So a 3/4, like, I'm not going to feel too bad about getting denied on this destroy. Maybe if I did follow it up with a Nimrod and then it got armored, that would kind of suck. But if I have priority, then it doesn't matter because I'll get the destroy first. So I feel like this card being countered doesn't feel nearly as bad as a lot of the other cards on this list. So it's kind of like just a win-win. I can put this out, let it work with my combo, or I can just leave it as a trap so my opponent can't play anything else there. Like if they're doing a slow Sandman ramp deck and they want to play a card there to get power, no shot. They can't. They're done for. There's a great argument to be made that this runs really well in that type of deck, a Sandman control deck, right? Because you play this early, you play Sandman elsewhere, your opponent won't be able to put power there unless they like do like a White Tiger. Because remember, the card has to be played. So if tokens get summoned over to the Negasonic Teenage Warhead location, it won't trigger, right? So the cards actually have to be played there. Also, I imagine like arrow moving things over, that won't work. You actually should just destroy the arrow. So it really wouldn't work. Okay, but here's a really cool one. I was thinking about Cerebro 5. So this was something I actually tried a while ago with Miles Morales when it came out, and then it didn't really work. Okay, but check this one out. Okay, so you get the Dr. Dooms, the Nimrods with the Negasonic Teenage Warhead to get them destroyed, huh? And then Deathlock is another one to destroy the Nimrods, and then you get a bunch of Nimrods, and they're all getting buffed from the Cerebro and the Mystique. Maybe you even want to copy with Mystique, you want to copy the Omega Red to get that bonus +3 energy going everywhere. Oh my gosh, they're all looking like 7 power cards. They're all working together. Star-Lord gets the buffs to 5. Lizard, try not to get them discounted. Titania, don't betray us. Polaris, it just all works so beautifully together. I feel like this could be a really legit deck. And when this card comes out, I'm thinking this is the one I'm going to pick up. Out of all the ones I've talked about today, I would really like to get Kitty Pryde, but Negasonic Teenage Warhead is currently leading the way with the one I'm going to spend my tokens on. But we'll see when the time comes. Anything could happen. Things could change. But let me know in the comments below which card you're excited about and which one you want to save your tokens for. Let's talk about the locations real quick. All right, so we have 3 locations that they revealed, and they're kind of interesting, but also really tilting. Okay, so let's start with Asteroid M. I actually covered a few of these, actually all 3 of these, I think, before in my Data Mine locations videos back in like October. But Asteroid M is pretty cool. After you play a 3 or 4 cost card, move it here. So that's cool with your Vulture, right? All of a sudden, Vulture free move. Whoa, that's great. I like how it's kind of a magnet. It's like a magneto magnet. All the cards just kind of like get thrown over there. And you got to watch out not to fill it up. So you just got to be a little bit conscious about what you're playing and just knowing that it's going to move there. Maybe you wanted to play it there anyway, so it's not a huge deal. I like this location. I think it's pretty neat, pretty fun, a little bit of disruption, but not too much to make it a super tilting game, right? Maybe it works really well with Kingpin. You set up the Kingpin there and your opponent plays 3 or 4s like an idiot because they didn't realize Asteroid M was there, and then you get Gravity pulled over and destroyed. Who knows? But seems pretty fun. Krakoa sucks. Don't like this location. I've heard some people defend it about how you like kind of manage the RNG and whatnot, and I get that. I'm here for that kind of stuff. My problem is that the AI is just not smart. Like when you play Agatha quite a bit, you start to realize, wow, they make really dumb decisions a lot of the time. I just played against a bot earlier today that literally played the Hood on turn 6 at a Galactus location as their only card. Like how could that possibly process in the AI's mind that that's a win? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. So I just feel like that's what's going to happen. Krakoa here is on turn 5. Krakoa takes over and plays both players' cards for them. So it's ego, but it starts on turn 5. And I did a little edit there because the original data mine version was only on turn 6. So at least it was only the final turn. And if you minimized the cards in your hand, at least then maybe you had like a bit of hope. But now it's 2 turns. So it's like ego, but just not as much. Oh, I don't know. I'm not here for it. I don't need these in the game. They can go to an unranked mode because they're kind of fun and make for some funny moments. But for ranked ladder, people trying to get infinite, we don't need that, man. We don't need it at all. And then we got Orcus Forge. After you play a card here, add a Sentinel to your hand. That's what it does. You get Sentinels. You got to play the Sentinels, or maybe you want a lot of Sentinels in your hand, so you play cards there, and then you got even more Sentinels, and then you can never draw cards. I don't know. Seems all right. It's probably one of those ones you try to avoid maybe unless you're playing the dinos and you got the Moon Girl or something along those lines. But for the most part, I think it'd just be annoying having too many Sentinels in your hand. But I am definitely going to try to get all 7 in my hand and have a full hand of Sentinels. That seems like a lot of fun and try to win a game that way. So we'll try that out. These dates are not official. In fact, we only have 3 locations here that we're talking about in the video, but we have 4 Tuesdays in March. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe we'll have a Tuesday where there's no featured location, or maybe they're holding a surprise featured location. Time will tell, but don't read into the dates too much. They're just my best guess, okay? So anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Snap subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll catch you guys next time.